Crypto mining with your cell phone has been around for years now, but does come with its challenges. You almost need like a tinkerer skill set, which is rather intimidating, especially when you're dealing with bulging batteries or with soldering. But what if there was a better solution? What if you could dig those old cell phones out of your desk drawer and put them to work earning cryptocurrency? The team over at Cellhasher has made this easy. So what can you mine with your old cell phones, especially in the Cellhasher system? Well, there's a boatload of different projects out there, but to name a bunch of the popular ones, you can actually solo Bitcoin mine with these. You can also mine things like Verus, Pi, Acurast, Qubic, and even Grass. All right, so let's dive into this. One of my favorite parts of these unboxing videos is this part right here. So we have our Cellhasher getting started guide with the QR code, making sure that we have the correct voltage set. We don't need to follow some of these because of the fact that we are all set up with pre-installed phones. They have two different models. If you guys weren't familiar, you can go with a setup that doesn't have any phones, or we went ahead and spent the extra money and got the ones with the phones, which is awesome. Now you do see down here, you can download the Cellhasher control software from the link provided in the documentation, which will be awesome. It'll allow us to control all of these phones at once. So jumping in here, traditional power cable, C13 to NEMA 15, which is great. That'll work out awesome. And we do have a USB cable. We'll take a closer look at that here in a minute. All right, I think see if we can get this out here. Oh, we can. Let's see. Pull it away without dropping it is our goal. Come on. There we go. Box fell. All right, look at this. This looks fancy. Man, this is much smaller than I thought. I don't know why I thought this would be like a server case style size, but let's take a closer look here as we get into it. So on the front, we have Cellhasher, which this is some type of decal on the front here. Looks good. I feel like this should be white. Just gonna say. Just go put it out there. You know me. All right, rotating it around, we do have a toggle switch. Fantastic. Love to see it. As well as we do have our connection there. This is where we have our USB connection, as well as a bunch of the dip settings as well. Looking at the top here, I know it looks like there's some wrap inside here. We'll take a closer look, but ventilation on the top, ventilation on the sides and on the back. And actually, I'm just going to take my time here and flip this over. Take a look at the bottom. I wonder if these actually suck air in. That's my guess. These are actually your intakes, is my guess. Sucks air in, blows it through all 20 phones, and then kind of pushes, the air comes out here, comes out all the rest of the different sides of it. All right, let me get these screws off and let's take a look inside. All right, moment of truth. Oh, look at that. The whole back comes off too. That's actually really, really nice. Way to go for packaging. I love the bubble wrap is in here. All right, let's see. We got a little tape on the front. Wow, look at that. That looks so sharp. That looks really, really good. So I am not going to sit here and try to act like I'm an expert. Phone mining has always really intimidated me. So a lot of you guys that are tinkerers and connoisseurs, phone mining is its own separate kind of clique, its own space within the crypto mining scene, and I've never really dabbled into it, so this is kind of a first for me. So these do move around a little bit here, so I'm just going to lift that up. We're just going to pull out the bubble wrap on the back side here. So what are we looking at? So we have 20 of the 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐿 cell phones, and these are all, this set here, it actually comes all pre-set up, ready to go. You can actually buy these on their site without any phones. The nice thing is these phones have been entirely stripped down. They no longer have the batteries in them, so you can't actually run into this common issue I've heard about within the phone mining community where your batteries bulge and you have problems with them. You don't have that here at all. I'm going to tilt this a little bit and you can kind of see in here that you can see these. Let's look here. So actually here, okay, let me take this out. Okay, so taking a look on the back here, you can actually see, I got the whole board removed. I got the back plate removed, everything. There is no battery in here anymore. And then you're actually getting power directly from this. Now, I'm going to take a guess that these kind of came a little undone a tiny bit in shipping because this one wasn't even plugged in here, is my guess. So I'm going to try to push that back in. That is not going. There we go. So I'm probably going to have to go through each of these phones individually and just make sure that they're entirely seated in there properly. Now, taking a look here, I'm going to tilt this for you guys. You can see you kind of have a massive, you have your massive motherboard control board on the bottom with all of your USB connections. That's attaching the phones to the actual control board there. And we're actually, the nice thing is about the Cellhasher, which is different than anything else out there, is that we will have one pane of glass to manage everything. So we don't need to manage every single individual phone. You actually, the nice thing is about Cellhasher is you can manage all of them from one GUI interface. There is the fans on the back side. I'm just kind of holding this very delicately because it's not really meant to go this way, but you can see all the fans there that are our intakes, which will work out awesome. Let me go through and I want to check every phone just to make sure it's seated properly because I know that's going to be a headache here in a few minutes. All right, all of our phones are seated in there. You can see it looks so much better here along the bottom. Everything's in a good spot. That could have been just from shipping. What I am thinking is, a lot of this reminds me of coming from the GPU world, right? And like having all of our PCI mini connections and everything onto the boards and things coming loose with risers. Here's a recommendation I'd love to see and give out to the Cellhasher team. Just like we had with our GPU server cases, there needs to be a bar across the top, across this backside here, keeping the phones pressed downward. And then you could have screws on the sides here, very similar to like our server cases. And then what we need is we need another bar on top. Same style, bar all the way across the support bars that we see, one across the top, one across the back side. That would keep the back side pushed against, and one there. So recommendation to the Cellhasher team. All right, so what is up next? I want to go ahead and get this QR code scanned and learn a little bit more about setting this up. Congratulations, if you've been watching this long, you have a chance to win 1 week of hash rate from my Cellhasher. How do you enter? It's easy. Go ahead and comment directly down below with a list of some of your old cell phones sitting around. I'll pick one winner in 2 weeks, reach out to you, and we'll get you set up mining on my Cellhasher. Let's take a closer look at the Cellhasher. If you guys are interested, you want to read more, go ahead, check out the link directly down below that will take you over to their website. So we're over here on Cellhasher's website and there's a lot going on here and I absolutely love it. So top left-hand corner, we can see there's products, documents, contacts, affiliates, and hash rate index. Let's talk about these products a little bit. So there's a few different options out there. They have the Cellhasher Classic. That's what I have, but with no cell phones at all. So if you're like, hey, I got a few cell phones in my drawer, I'm going to use those. And then I'm going to buy some cheap ones off of like Facebook Marketplace or eBay. You could go ahead and fill up the existing unit like I have now. And you can see it's not super expensive, $149. Now, what it does come with, if you want to opt in on it, is they do sell a disassembly kit for your cell phone if you want to take some things apart, the solder kit, and a multimeter. And I'll talk more about those in a minute, why you may need those. And I know, but those of you guys that are tinkerers out there, man, your ears are already buzzing looking at this product. Now, this is the unit I have. This is the unit that we're using in today's video, the Cellhasher Classic, which is 20 cell phones that come with it. These are those Orbic Joy units. Now, $149, you now get 20 phones. We're now up to $1,599. So you get all the same thing that we just showed, but you also get all the phones as well. All the phones are already pre-prepped and ready to go. That's exactly what I'm looking for. But for those of you tinkers out there, you're like, no, I want to build this on my own, and I totally get it. Now, they do have something called the Cellhasher Reverse. So that control board I talked to you guys about and showed you guys, it's kind of like stuck under the phones. and makes it very hard to work on. So if you're going to do this yourself, I actually recommend the Cellhasher Reverse, which has everything on the back side entirely easy to get to and accessible, because I've noticed it already and I've only owned it for a few minutes. Now there also is the Cellhasher rack mount. This is a unit that is made to be put into server racks. So if you're like, man, I got a small server rack at home, or I want to put one of these at work, or whatever you guys want to do, they actually sell a full system, has all the cooling involved, same style of design, but meant for a rack setup, which I think is absolutely awesome. So if you guys do decide to buy one of these units, I am affiliated with Cellhasher, and you guys can actually get $80 off or 5% off your entire purchase using the discount code Hobbyist. Now, if you're like, man, phone mining is just so alien to me, I'm not really sure what to do, Cellhasher has done a really good job of documenting everything, and I'll link this down below. This is over to their documents section. So they have their first page, which is just like, hey, this is what the Cellhasher is. But then they have their setup section. And I really like this because what they've done is they've gone through and made this easy and simple for your everyday tinkerer. So as you start to scroll through this, they tell you everything you kind of have to do step by step. You know, power adjustments you have to make, plugging in the power, anything you have to connect. You know, you can see they show you all of this step by step. And I know some of you guys are already like itching, like, this is awesome, I want to get into it. Especially this part, step 5, where you have to disassemble your phones. If you're using your own phones, they're going to walk you through how to disassembling them and some of the things you have to do. You know, kind of this dummy plug style of plugging in and wiring in the battery setup. With the wiring, they have all of that included. Look at this. All of this is included in the entire thing. And then they go ahead and get you up to the next spot. And the next thing that we look at is actually setting up their Cellhasher software. And that's what really makes this very different. So if I go back to my product and click on this image here, this actually has a software that allows you to manage all 20 of your devices, or however many cell phones you have, all at once, all at the exact same time, all in fluidity, making it very simple and easy. So you're not managing one individual device at a time and making the settings individually. It replicates it over all of the phones at once, which I think that's where a lot of the value is with going with a Cellhasher, is using this software. So I got my instructions in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and get these set up, and I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, well, it's been a few hours and lots of tinkering, but check this out. 20 phones up and hashing. We're currently hashing, mining Verus coin right now. You can see we got all good green connections. Lets us know we have a good connection from that USB port directly to the phone. Fans are going. They're actually not too loud, and especially when we put the lid on, it should work out really nicely. So the instructions Cellhasher have are very good, especially if you don't skip a page like I did and ran into some challenges, but we are all up and hashing. Software is actually really sweet once you get used to it and kind of understand everything going on. So let's go ahead and let's pick one of these here. And you can see there is the miner like you're used to seeing on like a GPU rig in Hive OS, or if you're used to using Windows, which a batch file, which is really nice. So what I did was I actually named all of my different ones, like Cellhasher 1, Cellhasher 2, all the way up to 20, which is really nice. The software actually is pretty intuitive. You know, you can set up for the wireless, so you can connect to your home wireless and it pushes that out to all the phones. In addition to that, you can set up the miner, deciding on what you want to mine, and then push that out to all the phones. And everything is scripted, so it makes it really, really easy. But you can also do things on, like here, you can see this is highlighted on an individual level. So if I just wanted to make changes to this miner, I could go ahead and do that here if I wanted to. Or you can deselect it and then any of your changes will push out to all of the phones. So that's where we're at. Now, 20 phones, you're like, oh man, how much watts does this use? Well, you got to remember, they're cell phones. They barely use anything. Coming over here and taking a look at our watt meter, this is just for the Cellhasher. We're at 109 watts, which is nothing. So 109 watts, 20 phones. Let's jump over to the computer and take a closer look. So we're mining Verus currently right now, kind of the staple with cell phone mining at the current moment. There are a lot of other really good ones. I'm actually eager to try out Pi to see how that works out, but I hear that's a whole nother ball game for sure. But let's take a closer look. So what I did was I actually came over and set up my wallet for Verus. I haven't mined Verus at all up to this point with no devices. I am brand new to cell phone mining, and maybe I'm jumping right from zero to hero right to the Ferrari Cadillac model versus ever going to the Honda Civic with just doing one phone and setting up manually. But the Cellhasher has made it really easy. So I used the Verus mobile Android app, super simple, easy to set up, and I was up with my wallet very quickly. If you guys are interested, you can go over and download it. You don't need any special APK or anything like that. Nice and easy. I found mine right on the Play Store. So taking a look at Verus coin, I decided to go with Viper.net. I've been very happy with Viper.net in the past. And so I decided to go that route. Granted, Viper.net does have 77% of the network hash rate, but they also do a really good job and make things very easy. I always recommend kind of decentralizing things a little bit more. I may jump on luckypool.net just to change things up, just because of the fact of so much hash rate on Viper.net. So let's see how we're doing exactly. So let me refresh the page, and this is set up right to my address currently right now. I've only been up and mining for a few minutes, barely anything at the grand scheme of things. But currently right now we're at 108 mega hash, but the thing going for me is we're using what, 107 watts, which is fantastic. So we're not coming into this crushing it, but we're not really using any watts. So if we scroll down, you can see the nice thing is with the Cellhasher is you can group these all as one miner or individually, but I wanted to set it up individually, and I actually set up the email notifications on Viper.net. So if one of these phones does have a problem, I can get an email and I can go ahead and investigate it and look into it a little bit more. But you can see we're kind of all over the place when it comes down to our hash rate. 4.5, up to what's our highest we're seeing here, poolside 6, maybe 6.5. Now granted, that's current hash rate. Is better to look at 1 hour, but we haven't even been up that long, to be honest with you, only for a few minutes here. But we are up and hashing and working out well. All of our miners are up there. Was this the simplest plug and play process out there? Absolutely not, but I have had a ton of fun with it so far. All right, so final thoughts on the Cellhasher. Do I love it? Do I hate it? Do I recommend it? I 100% recommend this for home miners. I think this really has a place for those of you guys that are tinkerers, that love to play, that you're not rushing to profitability, and you want to get this up and running. As I said before at the top of the video, you do not need to buy this with all these cell phones. You can buy the chassis with all of the hardware except for the cell phones for $149. $1,500 is a much larger investment, but you're really just paying for the cell phones, paying for that horsepower behind it. I'm eager to see where Cellhasher goes. I hear they're evolving this entire interface. What I would love to see is a standalone system, maybe even that has an Ethernet port on it that you can use to go ahead and set up and manage the entire setup. Kind of like a traditional miner or a home miner you would have, not needing to install anything on a laptop or connect a USB cable. Now, the nice thing is I could go ahead and disconnect my PC from this and just allow it to run on its own. You only need the computer rail set up to it if you have to make any changes or when you first get this up and mining. Guys, Cellhasher, love it. Cell phone mining, brand new to me. Verus coin, brand new to me. Go over, check it out over at cellhasher.com. I will leave a link down below. Have a good one, guys.